If you can only invest $100 a month, your biggest problem isn't that $100 is a small amount. Your biggest problem is believing that you need to compensate for that by taking stupid risks. Maybe you feel like you're falling behind. Maybe rent eats up half your salary. Maybe you watch videos about million-dollar portfolios and think, that's not my life. Maybe you want to invest, but every strategy you find seems designed for people who already have money to burn. In this video, I'm going to put together a simple portfolio for those who can only invest $100 a month, show what that can become over time, and explain the trap that causes most beginners to lose money before even developing any financial discipline. But before we continue, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, do it now. This is The Sleeping Investor, and every video is made for the average person who wants to build real wealth without fluff or false promises. Also, tell me in the comments, where are you watching this video from? I'm curious to know where these people come from. Let me tell you something that almost no one talks about. $100 a month seems like a small amount because you're comparing your beginning to someone else's middle stage of their journey. You see someone investing $2,000 a month and think, what difference will $100 make? But that person didn't start with $2,000. They started small, were consistent, increased their income over the years, and are now in Chapter 7 of their story. You're watching Chapter 7 and comparing it to your Chapter 1. $100 a month isn't going to make you rich next year. That's not what it's for right now. It's for building the identity of someone who invests every month without exception. The first goal isn't to get rich. The first goal is to stop feeling completely out of control of your own money. And look, the first $100 you invest doesn't change your net worth. It changes your direction. That's different. Direction is what determines where you'll be in 10, 20 years. Now, let's talk numbers. Nothing complicated, I promise. $100 a month is $200 a year. In 10 years without any growth, that's $12,000, just through discipline, just through consistency. But when you put that money into the stock market, something called compound interest starts to happen, assuming a long-term historical average return of 7% to 10% per year, which isn't guaranteed but is historically reasonable for those investing in broad market ETFs. The numbers start to change quite a bit. In 10 years, with $100 a month, you could have around $17,000 to $19,000. In 20 years, it could be between $50,000 and $70,000. In 30 years, the number starts to get serious. We're talking about something between $120,000 and $220,000, depending on the return. This isn't a number that will make you quit your job, but it's a number that changes your life. It's the difference between reaching 55 years old with zero and reaching it with a solid foundation. And the most important point here isn't even the final number. The point is to create the habit now while you still have time, because in a few years, when your income increases, you'll invest more. And the habit you created today will be the foundation of everything. It doesn't matter if you're going to invest $100 forever. What matters is that you start now. Now I need to tell you about the trap. It has a name. I call it the small investor trap. That's when you start investing a little and think like this. $100 a month is too slow. I need crypto. I need options. I need to find the next Nvidia. I need a 30% annual return. I need to copy someone's aggressive portfolio. This mindset seems reasonable. It even seems smart. You think I have little, so I need to make this little bit go further, faster. It makes sense in theory. In practice, what happens? The beginner trades consistency for gambling. They buy something in euphoria, sell in panic. They lose money, they get frustrated, they stop investing, and they go back to square one. Sometimes they even end up in the red. Most of the people I know who lost money investing didn't lose because the market was against them for decades. They lost because they made an emotional decision in 3 weeks. And look, it's not the person's fault. The internet makes simple investing seem stupid. Every viral video is about the guy who turned $1,000 into $50,000 in 6 months. Nobody makes videos about someone who invested $100 a month for 20 years and did well. But this second person exists. And they're probably doing much better than the guy in the viral video. When you only have $100 a month, you don't need more complexity, you need fewer ways to go wrong. So what's the ideal portfolio for someone starting out with $100 a month? I'll give you 3 options, from the simplest to the slightly more structured. Option 1, ultra simple, 100% in a single broad market ETF. VTI covers the entire United States market. VOO tracks the S&P 500, the 500 largest American companies. VT is the entire global market, the United States plus the rest of the world. For someone investing $100 a month, a single broad ETF may be more than enough to start with. You don't need 10 different positions, you need one consistent position. Option 2, simple with mental reserve. 80% in a broad equity ETF, 20% in cash or T-bills, which are short-term government bonds, but only if you don't already have an emergency fund. Because if you don't have an emergency fund, it doesn't make sense to behave like an advanced investor while any unexpected expense of $500 turns into credit card debt. This negates any progress in investing. Option 3, when income increases. Once you have consistency and your contributions grow, then you can think about adding a second layer. A broad-based ETF as a base, a small growth stake, perhaps an international stake. But that comes later, not in the first month. It starts simple. It stays simple. Now, let me tell you what I wouldn't do if I was starting out with $100 a month. I wouldn't buy 12 different ETFs. You don't need diversification within diversification. A broad ETF already encompasses hundreds of companies. I wouldn't pick individual stocks just because it seems more exciting. Stock picking with $100 a month is too risky, and there's not enough scale to justify it. I wouldn't use options or day trading to try and accelerate the process. It destroys beginners. Always. I wouldn't put everything in crypto. Crypto can be part of a mature wallet, not one that's still being built. I wouldn't change my strategy every month. Constantly changing strategies is the quickest way to have no strategy at all. I wouldn't invest money that should be an emergency fund. An emergency fund isn't an investment, it's protection. And I wouldn't ignore high-interest debt. If you have credit card debt with 25% annual interest, paying that debt off is the best possible investment right now. It's not because the people who do it are stupid. It's because the internet makes simple investing seem too slow. And people start looking for shortcuts where there aren't any. Quick note, if this video resonated with you, please give it a like. It really helps the channel grow. And tell me in the comments, which of these traps have you fallen into or were about to fall into? Be honest, this space is judgment-free. Before discussing portfolio, there's a priority order that makes all the difference. If you have high-interest credit card debt, prioritize paying it off before making any heavy investments. The math is simple. 25% annual interest on a credit card is far worse than any return the market can offer. If you don't have an emergency fund, at least build up an initial reserve. Aim for 1 to 3 months' worth of basic expenses. This doesn't have to happen in 1 month. It can be gradual. If you already have a basic reserve and no expensive debt, start investing $100 a month in a broad-based ETF. If your job offers a 401k with employer matching, consider prioritizing contributing at least enough to capture the full match. Because matching is extra money your employer puts in for you. It's an immediate 100% return even before the market goes up a cent. If you have access to a Roth IRA, it can be a powerful long-term tool depending on your situation, especially for those at the beginning of their career. It's worth researching and understanding if it makes sense for you. I won't go into deep tax detail here, but the main message is, there is an order. Following that order protects you from mistakes that set back years of progress. Now for the part that I think is most important in this whole video. Most people watching this video don't just want to get rich. They want to stop feeling like they're always behind. They want to stop looking at their bank statements at the end of the month and feeling ashamed. They want to feel like they're in control of something, and I understand that completely. The first goal when you start investing $100 a month is to prove to yourself that you can be consistent. That's all. After 6 months, you're no longer someone trying to start. You're someone who has already started. That changes how you see yourself. After 12 months, you have evidence of discipline. Not promises, not intentions, real evidence. After a few years, habit starts to outweigh motivation. Because motivation comes and goes, habit remains. Most people don't lose money because they only had $100. They lose because they never built the habit long enough for $100 to become $200, then $500, then $1,000 a month. It's about habit. It always has been. Let me tell you the story of a fictional character named Alex. Alex is 27 years old, earns $52,000 a year, pays rent, car insurance, groceries, student loan, and feels he should be more financially secure than he is. In Path A, Alex decides that $100 a month is too slow. He buys random stocks he saw on a forum. He invests in crypto in a fit of euphoria. He changes his strategy 3 times in 6 months. He loses part of what he invested. He gets frustrated. He stops investing. 2 years later, he's back to square one, with the feeling that investing isn't for him. On Path B, Alex invests $100 a month in VTI, builds a small emergency fund, and when he gets a raise, increases his contribution to $200. He doesn't increase his standard of living proportionally. 5 years later, he has a real financial base. He didn't get rich, but he's in the game. And each year that passes, the game gets easier. Path B seems boring in the first few months, and it is, but it's the only path that keeps you investing long enough to see real results. Now for the concrete plan. 4 weeks, 1 action per week. Week 1. Find out how much you really have left over each month after all your bills and fixed expenses. Not what you think you have left over, what you actually have left over. Look at your bank statement. Week 2. Build or increase a small emergency fund. Even if it's just $300 or $500, something that will protect you from immediate unexpected expenses without needing your credit card. Week 3. Choose the right account for you. A regular brokerage, Roth IRA, or 401k, depending on your current situation. If you're unsure which to choose, start by researching the 3 options based on your income and goals. Week 4, automate $100 per month into a broad ETF and stop messing around. Seriously, stop messing around. And the most important rule, don't review your strategy every week. Review your consistency. The question isn't, is this ETF the best? The question is, did I invest this month? $100 a month is not a small amount when it's the beginning of a new financial identity. It's not about the number. It's about who you're becoming every time you make that transfer at the beginning of the month. It's about the version of you that will reach 40 or 50 years old with a solid foundation, while other people will be starting from scratch. You don't need to look rich. You need to become the kind of person who quietly buys freedom every month, and this person starts with $100. This video is for educational purposes only. It is not financial advice. Every situation is different, and investment decisions should take your personal context into account. If this video was helpful to you, leave a like and tell me in the comments. Have you ever fallen into the small investor trap? Which part made the most sense to you today? I want to read every answer. And look at the video that's playing on the screen now. Because now that you know how to start with $100 a month, the next question is what you should completely avoid buying. Because some investments seem smart, but silently keep beginners from growing. See you there.